What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the best upgrade that I have found to the Xbox controller. Before we get started, let's just clear the air. There is no right controller, wrong controller, mouse and keyboard. We're not here to talk about any of that. All of it's a personal preference anyway. I'm just here to provide you with my experience on products that I have used. So when it comes to controllers and the discussion around controllers, there are so many things that you have to take into account. The biggest thing is mostly just the system that you're on. For example, if you're on PlayStation 5, then you pretty much only have the DualSense controller from Sony as an option. And there are custom controller companies like Scuf, Evil, Battle Beaver, any of those. They all make customized PlayStation 5 controllers, but they're all built off of the DualSense controller from Sony. Now, Sony has just recently announced that they are coming out with a new Pro controller that has like changeable thumbsticks, extra buttons, all of that sort of thing. But for the most part, you're going to be pretty limited to that one shape and that one design from Sony. Now, when you switch over to Xbox, heaven's gates open up quite a bit. And what I mean by that is there is an extensive market of aftermarket Xbox controllers that have back buttons, front buttons, side buttons, adaptive triggers, hollow sticks, hand warmers. Let's be honest, that's pretty sick. Why hasn't that been done yet? But anyway, when you're talking about Xbox controllers, a lot of times they go hand in hand with PC users as well, because for the most part, all aftermarket Xbox controllers will work on PC. Shout out Microsoft. But again, this video is not even related to whatever system you're on, because as a PC user, you can also use a PlayStation 5 DualSense controller or even a DualShock 4 from the PS4 on your system. So it's kind of a moot point when it comes to that level of flexibility. But where things start to change is when you get into the manufacturers of these next level controllers or Pro controllers and start discussing their features and what they offer. So here we have the standard, old, boring, not innovative Xbox controller. I mean, it baffles me that this layout has stayed pretty much exactly the same for the last 20 years, but hey, who am I? But we're not here to rag on this little guy. He is simply a placeholder to discuss today's topic. So, base level Xbox controller, here's what you get. You get little fidgety sticks, you get some clicker clackers, and you get some colorful alphabets. On the back, you've got your vroom vroom and your boom boom, and two matching mini versions of each. But you know what you don't get? Rechargeable battery. Come on, Microsoft, what are you doing? So yes, when you get an Xbox controller, you gotta load it up with some AA batteries, or go third party, buy a battery pack that you can recharge, or just run it wired. Cheapest, easiest fix, just buy some rechargeable AA's. When those die, load in some other ones while these charge up. I think these are from IKEA. Lada 1900, yeah, IKEA. Yeah, that's Swedish. But if I'm being honest, I pretty much only use this controller if I'm playing like single player games or anything that doesn't really require that much dexterity. And that's pretty much it for the Xbox controller. Nothing new, nothing exciting. The biggest thing that I do like about Xbox controllers is that with the size of my hands, this thing's actually pretty ergonomic, I gotta say. Now let's talk about Pro controllers or aftermarket controllers and why you would even get something like that. Well, it's pretty simple. Over the last, 10 years, gamers have evolved from simply coming home, playing video games to relieve stress, to now making it their life's work to get every camo and every achievement and every top rank in every video game ever, because they would rather die than be the worst at a video game. So I don't know where you stand on the psychological spectrum of that analogy, but to really sum it up, gamers are sweaty AF right now. And with that has come a need for that next level of performance, that next level of that can really set you apart in really any title that you play. This is where a controller like the Razer Wolverine Ultimate comes in. This little guy might look like your standard old black Xbox controller on the outside, but you flip that bad boy over, you've got a plethora of buttons here, you've got extra bumpers there. These are mechanical buttons, so they actuate faster, removable and adjustable thumbsticks, and it's even got a mixer down here, so when you plug your headset into it, you can control the volume of game chat versus voice chat, as well as mute your headset on the fly, and you can also preload up to 2 profiles on here to switch back and forth between. So let's say you want to have one profile set up for Fortnite and another set up for Warzone, just hit the button and it switches your button configuration. And how could I forget? The trigger locks. So basically a controller like this allows for a lot more customization and control in a video game. And it's not like you're adding new buttons that do new things. All you're really doing is taking the face buttons that are on the front and remapping them to be on these back buttons here or on the bumpers, all for a carefully created scheme to make it so that you don't have to take your thumbs off the joysticks. Because for example, on an Xbox controller, you're playing, you're you're gaming, you're doing all that stuff, you gotta take your thumbs off to hit these face buttons. Gotta take the thumb off to hit these. And I know some of you are gonna be like, oh, that's why you play claw. Yeah. Not this time, arthritis. But once you go from a regular controller to like a pro controller with back buttons or paddles, there's really no going back, quite honestly. These are pretty much a highly recommended option for anybody who plays like first-person shooters, battle royales, multiplayer, anything like that. And honestly, what I love about controllers like these is that especially in today's day and age of crossplay, where you have consoles playing with PC users, it allows for a lot more level playing field, as opposed to getting in these lobbies with these mouse and keyboard players that have over 100 keys and binds that they can use. And you're down here with your base level controller having to take your thumbs off of the joysticks to hit standard peasant buttons. But now with back buttons and paddles and additional bumpers, you don't have to worry about any of that. It levels the playing field as much as it can. Now you're probably asking, Cole, what's so special about the Razer Wolverine Ultimate? So on the back, it's got 4 buttons. And before we go any further, yes, this one did break. It broke because I dropped the controller and it did snap off. There's a metal skeleton to this plastic molded button, and the plastic broke off up until that point. But it still works, and it still works really well. But what I like about this controller is that it allows you to grip the controller like normal, like just a normal regular Xbox controller, and then you can reach to the middle to actuate those buttons. And then, that wasn't even all they decided to do. They decided to add extra bumpers on the top, so you got your left bumper, right bumper, and triggers, and then slide over here into the middle. Boom, 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 boom. You've got some extra bumpers here that work perfect for remapping things like on the D-pad. And with adjustable trigger locks, you can have everything be a full force, or you can hit it and have everything go about 50% of the way. And did I mention that these bumpers and these base buttons are mechanical? Which basically just gives them longer life, better durability, and technically a faster actuation than just a standard membrane button. But in addition to all of those great features, much like the Elite Series 2 controller, you've got adjustable thumbsticks you can actually change, take off. And what's really cool is when you buy this controller, you get this dope carrying case. Inside, nice little carrying case, but you've got an extra D-pad that you can swap out, and then extra thumbsticks, including a rounded one that you can use if you're into that sort of thing. But carrying case aside, this controller rocks. And I have yet to find a controller that is as smooth and as crisp as this one is. And it also doesn't get stick drift right out of the box. I've been personally using this basically daily for the last 8 months, and I have had 0 stick drift issues, any issues whatsoever. But for less than the Microsoft Elite Series 2 controller, in my opinion, you're getting a more versatile, more usable controller that doesn't give you stick drift issues. Now, I know you're probably watching this and you're like, Cole, it can't just be perfect. There's gotta be some things wrong with it, right? Yeah, there are. First up, the software sometimes doesn't even work. As you can see here, when I launch the Razer app on my Xbox, it tells me to plug in the controller. I've plugged in the controller's plugged in. I've unplugged it and plugged it back in, and it just sometimes doesn't work. But then when it does work, it's pretty basic. It allows you to customize your remappings. You can add some special features such as slowing down your sensitivity. But beyond that, it's a pretty basic, simple software, nothing spectacular. And speaking of having to be able to plug this controller in, that's kind of another con with this thing too, is that it's only a wired controller. It will not work wireless, so that W definitely goes to like an Elite Series 2 or Scuff's Xbox controller, which both of those are going to allow you to use them wirelessly, just like a regular Xbox controller. But other than that, in almost every category, besides personal preference, the Razer Wolverine Ultimate outshines its competition by seeming to be way more durable and just having more customization options in general. And what's really cool is if you're not into competitive gaming, you just want a cool Xbox controller, and you just want to hop on and play Warzone with the boys, then this audio mixer is actually really, really good if you have a wired headset. You can mute on the fly, you can change the volume of your voice chat and your game audio. But all in all, it's a great controller. The only thing I will also say is that if you have smaller hands, you may not be a fan of this back layout, because I've got larger hands myself and these buttons are impeccable to hit for me rather than having paddles on the side. But if you've only ever played with paddle controllers and you switch to this, it is going to take a hot minute to get used to pressing these buttons. But once you do, it becomes second nature and it feels great. Now, this isn't the newest model that Razer has for the Wolverine series of controllers. They have the Wolverine V2 Chroma, which is more ergonomically shaped like the current gen Xbox controllers.
And it does have some other features that the Wolverine Ultimate doesn't have. For example, it comes in white. It features a mechanical D-pad in addition to the face buttons. But for about $40 more than the Wolverine Ultimate controller, you're getting an updated and refreshed version. However, this version does not come with a carrying case.
So feel free to check it out. I'll put all the links down in the video description below. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And if you like this video, drop me one of these. I'd really appreciate it. And let me know down in the comments below what your favorite aftermarket controller is. I'd love to hear what you guys are rocking. And speaking of liking the video, if you like this video and the other content that I've been putting out, make sure and hit that subscribe button. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, this bit is just getting so old. What are you doing? Thanks for tuning in, guys. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy. Peace.